What's up, guys? Welcome to another edition of Terrible Towel Tuesday. I am your host, SimFBallCritic, and let's get right into it, guys. We got a lot to talk about today, man. A lot of quiet moves happening in the Steelers organization, which is the reason, guys, why I said, the title says it all. They're acting like snipers. They're acting like snipers during this free agency period, and I'll definitely explain to you guys what I'm talking about. Let me just get everything pulled up here and make sure everything is up and running. It appears to be. So, guys, let's go ahead and get started. Now, there's several things to talk about. We have a lot to talk about today. We have to talk about the guys that the Steelers have lost. We already know we lost Lawrence Timmons. We know that. But, we've lost a lot of guys that are not key guys, but, you have to look at the positions in which we were lost. Where we lost. You have the inside linebacker, of course, in Lawrence Timmons. We also have Marcus Wheaton at receiver. But if you look at some of these other guys, man, it was pretty expected. Some of these guys that got signed. Now, the reason why I'm mentioning that, guys, before I go into what I'm going to talk about today, that should give you a little bit of an idea as far as what the Steelers are probably going to do in free agency. We also lost Jarvis Jones. Now, a lot of these guys that we lost were either injury guys who are a little bit older in Timmons, which I would have loved to have had Timmons back, but we understand the money situation is what it is, or like a Marcus Wheaton, injury. Jarvis Jones had injuries in the past, which affected his production, which he just wasn't productive, even when he was in the game, not the way the Steelers thought he would be. Okay, so you lose those guys. Now, the thing about it is they didn't lose any guys who were heavy hitters, so to speak, right? So let me get to my point. You look at free agency, and like I said in the title, the Steelers are acting like snipers in free agency. Let me explain what I'm saying. They're doing exactly what we have grown accustomed to see them do every single year. They swoop in and they grab these guys that are, average, sometimes above average, or sometimes guys who have high potential, right? Now, I always want to mention, in the recent history, we're not going to go way back because we all know, some of the big key acquisitions the Steelers acquired in free agency in the past. But at the same time, even then, in the past, some of those guys were still guys that you didn't quite know what they were going to be. But looking in the recent history, Mike Mitchell was a good signing when we got him. Now, Mike Mitchell has been a decent player for the Steelers. To me, he hasn't lived up to the center fielder expectations that I have on him. Is he a big hitter? Yes. Does he sometimes get over and knock the ball out? At times via the big hit. Is he a ball hawk? No. Is he always in the right position in terms of the middle of the field? Not all the time. Does he make bad decisions in terms of tackle angle? Yes. See, he's been a decent player, but not a great player. He's just been a hit man, like an enforcer as far as the hit. You think back last year to the Mike Mitchell play, and I call it the Mike Mitchell play because let's take it for what it was. At Baltimore, Mike Wallace, 95-yard touchdown. He beats Artie Burns a little bit inside. Artie may have given him a little too much room. Artie wasn't completely beat. He got a step on him, beat him. That happens in the NFL. But here comes Mike Mitchell, and you see Mike Mitchell taking the wrong angle. He was in position to make a play, and he didn't. Now, again, I'm not an NFL player. I'm not going to sit here and criticize that man for saying he was wrong, he made the wrong read, blah, 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 blah. I don't know how easy or how not easy it is to make that tackle in the NFL. But we have seen this from Mike Mitchell time and time and time again, guys. That's my problem. We've seen him have these deficiencies over and over and over. So if you're going to ask me, do you think that Mike Mitchell was a great signing? I don't know. Now, let me talk about this one. So who else did we grab? D'Angelo Williams. Great signing. Now, when D'Angelo Williams got signed, nobody was trying to sign him really at the time. Steelers swooped in and got him, right? At an age where people thought it was questionable. He comes in for 2 years, does his thing. Well, mainly 1 year. That 1 year did his thing. Helped us immensely when Le'Veon went down. Last year, not so much. Le'Veon came back, started off the season very well, but then his opportunity was limited, and he was injured as well. So You got to look at that situation like that. You know, but it worked out. But my point I'm making, guys, and Ladarius Green, here's another one. When healthy, he might be something. We don't know yet. But my point is, I keep saying this every week, but I have to say this over and over and over because I'm always having this conversation, even with those that are very close to me. Why the Steelers don't do this? Why they don't do that? They don't work like that, fans. They don't. Now, I'm not saying we should agree. Many times that I've thought, man, I wish we could go after that guy, but I respect it because I know they're not going to do it. So it's two different conversations. It's different to say, man, I wish they would do this versus why don't they? So for you to expect for them to go out and sign this big guy, big money guy, big name guy in free agency, you're fooling yourself. You don't really know the team if you're expecting it. So it's almost like you're expecting the Steelers to do something you know they ain't going to do, and then when they don't do it, you're mad. That makes no sense. However, another conversation is, man, I wish we could go after some of these guys. And I wish our philosophy would change a little bit. I wish they would take a chance. I'm cool with that. I'm cool with that if it makes sense based on who the player is. But to sit around and keep having the same conversation as to why they didn't, I'm going to stop having that conversation with guys like that. So you guys that know me via Twitter, you guys that know me personally, you guys who are going to see this, I'm letting you know right now, I'm not going to have that conversation no more when you're approaching it with the, I don't know why the Steelers aren't. Come on, son. If you're doing that, we ain't going to have that conversation. We'll change it up and we'll talk about something else. All right, so looking at the guys that they signed. Very interesting, very interesting. And I'm going to dive into that, guys, but give me a second, man. Let me get my quick notation here that I made via phone. I wanted to talk about the guys that we're probably going to lose first, the remaining unrestricted agents that are still not signed, and then I'll talk about the guys we did sign, because to me, it'll make a little more sense. So again, shout outs to SteelersDepot.com, Dave and Dave, the Terrible Podcast. Make sure you guys follow them and listen to them. I listen to those guys religiously, along with my boy Tony here. Listen to those guys, man. They're a little closer to the Steelers than we are, so they get a little more information. And, they're just a bigger site. These guys have been around, so they know what they're talking about. It's always cool to see a lot of times the things they say are the things that you say yourself. You're like, okay, we're on the same track. Or it's always interesting to get a take from guys like that who are closer to the situation, whether that be front office or training camp, etc. And you can listen to somebody else's take who's actually there. See, I actually listen to people. I don't just think I know everything like some Steelers fans. But Steelers Depot, that's Dave Bryan. He posted earlier, there are 4 Steelers unrestricted free agents who remain unsigned. And this is important because when you think about who we signed, it's going to make a little bit of sense. Ricardo Matthews, you guys know him, guy we picked up from the Chargers a year or two ago. Or was it last year? I can't remember, but he hasn't been around that long. Shamarko Thomas, Cody Wallace, and D'Angelo Williams. Now, the key things to note here is Ricardo Matthews and D'Angelo Williams. Why? Defensive end. I don't know if you guys saw earlier today, the Steelers have a visit with this guy. I can't remember his full name. Let me see if I find it here. I know I'm going to pronounce it wrong, guys, because it's a Hawaiian name, and I just don't remember how to pronounce it. Tyson Alaulu, maybe? Alaulu. Hope I'm saying that right. From the Jacksonville Jaguars. He was a former first-round draft pick. He's meeting with the Steelers today. That's interesting. He's been with the Jags the whole time, which to me, I like that because it doesn't show that he's just been, flip-flopping, going to different teams. It shows he has some stability there, right? He's meeting with the Steelers today, and based on, the numbers, and even, again, David Bryan posted this earlier, based on everything you expect the situation to go the way we think it will, he'll probably sign it. That's key because Ricardo Matthews was another guy that the Steelers brought in to play both DN, D-line, maybe use him in the nickel package. Same thing we did with Cam Thomas. You remember him? So if this guy comes in, if Tyson comes in, I'm gonna just say Tyson because I don't want to mess the man's name up. I want to respect his name. If he comes in and he's a better guy, better fit, even Steelers Depot is saying the same thing. This guy would seem to be a better fit. Then I think that leaves Ricardo Matthews on the outside. He'll probably not be back. Who else did we sign? All right, running back, Now Davis. Interesting, guys. Now Davis. That's an interesting one. Now, the reason why I say it's interesting because we've all seen this guy. We've seen the talent that he possesses. We've seen what he's been able to do for the Chiefs. We've seen him fill in for Jamal Charles when Jamal Charles was out. We've seen him get a few 100-yard games. Where else have we seen him? You guys remember? Where else have we seen him be effective? Kick returns. All right. Now, even if you don't watch the Chiefs that often, you probably would remember last year, not this season, but the season before, when the Chiefs faced the Texans in the playoffs, opening kickoff, what happened? Opening kickoff, touchdown. When is the last time the Steelers have seen that? That's why this signing is key signing right there. And you know what that tells me? DeAngelo Williams could be in a little bit of trouble, guys, because it's going to come down to the draft. If the Steelers draft a running back, it might be curtains for DeAngelo Williams, because right now, if I'm not mistaken, and you guys can let me know in the chat, I could be off. I think Fitzgerald Toussaint is still on the roster, I believe. I think he's still under contract. I'm not 100% sure. I know that guy, Dukes, what's his name? Brown Dukes or Dukes Brown. I can't remember this dude's name. Y'all know who I'm talking about, the running back with the 3 names. I can't remember his exact name, but you guys know who I'm talking about, you Steelers fans. I think they have him set up to be signed for future contract. Carlos Williams was also set to be signed a future contract. He got released. So we never know what's going to happen with Brown's Dukes. I hope I'm saying his name right. But I just feel like with a guy like Now Davis, younger, definitely probably still has a little more speed, would seem to be a little healthier than DeAngelo Williams, being that DeAngelo Williams is coming off of a little bit of an injury. I don't know. I think it comes down to the draft. If we draft a running back, which I think we would, I expect us to draft a running back. This was prior to the Niles Davis pickup. I don't know now, but if we do continue to draft a running back, I think that puts DeAngelo Williams on the outside, guys. I just think that's how it's going to go. So that's why that's key. Now, Cody Wallace, don't know what's going to happen with that, man. He's been a solidified backup for us. I think a guy like B.J. Finney showed himself last year. B.J. Finney might be the new Cody Wallace. Let's just keep it honest. He did a good job when he filled in, playing at guard, not as well as center when he had to play that a game or two for us. But I think, B.J. Finney could be the new Cody Wallace. We'll see. And then you got Shamarko Thomas. This is a tough one for me, man, because I had high hopes for Shamarko Thomas. I know Tony here in the chat, he remembers that. I had high hopes for that guy because of the way he played in college. He was a hitter. He's all over the ball. He's all around. He kind of reminded me of the way Landon Collins plays in college. Just never panned out in the NFL, guys, not for the Steelers, not in coverage. He became a liability. Let's remember, Troy Polamalu retires. Everyone's saying it's going to be Shamarko Thomas's job. Shamarko doesn't even make it out of preseason. It's not a good look. You bringing guys like Will Allen back in there and things like that. It's just not a good look. And I think there's enough guys who have excelled in special teams, even while Shamarko Thomas was injured last season, to not even consider him, the best special teams guy anymore. Not saying that he wouldn't be, but we've had guys fill in. You had your Roosevelt Knicks, showing off. You had guys like Chicolo doing good things. Metakevich, Dirty Red, as they call him. You had these kind of guys. Haywood Bay, and it's not sure what's going to happen with Haywood Bay, but we'll talk about that in a minute. But I don't know, man. I think Shamarko Thomas is on the outside looking in, man. I think he makes the team as a special teamer, and it's going to come down to position and importance. That's just how that goes. All right, so let's go and talk about the other guy that two guys that the Steelers signed. We all by now know about Justin Hunter. Let's talk about him real quick, and then I'll get into the SimFBall news. Now, Justin Hunter is interesting to me, guys, because, and it's funny, Steelers fans, you guys, I love you guys, man. You guys are so funny. I sit back and watch everything. I watch tweets, guys tweet me, guys tweet Dave and Dave, guys, tweet the Steel crew. There's a couple guys on Twitter. They know who they are that may or may not see this, but it's funny to see what the fans say, like about players and different signings. Now, let me just say this. I think us fans are a little too harsh sometimes, calling somebody garbage. It's a guy that always comments on my videos, or at least on Twitter, and he knows who he is. I'm not even going to say your name, man, but you know who you are. Every player that we talked about this week or last week into this week, oh, he's trash. Oh, he's garbage. This is the thing, man. You never know what an NFL player is going to be until he's in a specific situation. Now, some guys are just phenomenal athletes. Some guys are just going to be good. A guy like Le'Veon Bell, I think, would be good on any team because he's going to find a way. He's going to find a way, because he's so patient. So if you just give him a little bit of time, he's going to find a way. Antonio Brown would probably be good anyway. Just get him the ball, get him, think about some of the top tier quarterbacks in the league. If they had an Antonio Brown, just like Ben does, I'm sure he's going to be good. But there's other guys, man, it just depends on what situation they're in. We've seen it. Look at Josh Norman. Josh Norman appears to be a system type of corner. Doesn't necessarily seem to be that elite man-to-man guy, right? But who could argue and say that he's not a good corner or not a guy that you would have on your team if you built your defense around that? Did well in Carolina, played well for the Redskins, in the scheme. Now, yes, they probably should have put him on Antonio Brown a little more in week one instead of Breland. But again, he was playing within the system. Richard Sherman probably could play anywhere, but I'm sure he benefits from the Seattle system. However, I got to put an asterisk beside Richard Sherman because he has started roaming a little more and started doing a little more. So I got to give him that elite status. Patrick Peterson, guys like that, they're going to always be okay for the most part. But there's other guys, you put them in the right situation, then they might excel. They might do well. Think about it from a corner standpoint, linebacker standpoint, and definitely DN. All right. So you have to think about Justin Hunter like this, and receiver. I forgot to mention receiver in my position right there. Look at what he did when he was in Tennessee, man. Did he have a ton of catches? No. Did he make some mistakes? I'm sure. Or there's some areas to improve on? A lot of them. Excuse me, guys. I'm sure there's a lot of things he can improve on. But he's still young. He's 25. He's fast. He's tall, and he has a big body. Where's the loss in that signing? Considering the fact that what the Steelers go after. The Steelers go after bargain guys in free agency, maybe a top-notch guy if they can get him. But they go after bargain guys. And a guy like Justin Hunter, go look at his film. Don't focus on the things that he didn't do. You have to look at the potential and then look at the quarterback situation. He's never had a Ben Roethlisberger. And he's familiar with Zach Mettenberger. So Zach Mettenberger coming back into the into camp, that might be a better situation for us as far as chemistry. If Mettenberger happens to be the number 2, which I hope he competes very strongly against Landry Jones for. So you got to look at it like that. There's nothing but potential there with a guy like Ben Roethlisberger who likes to air it out. You have a young kid, pretty much at 25. I hate to call him kid because it's not like he's that young. But you have a younger guy at 25 peaking that can run and is big and has made spectacular catches in the league. You saw it at Tennessee. You saw it at Buffalo. He's just never been the number 1 guy. And he's probably, he won't be the number 1 guy in Pittsburgh. Do you understand that? It's going to be Antonio Brown, Martavis Bryant, providing that he is reinstated. We still don't know. So again, there's the connection. Hunter could be an insurance policy. It's a 1-year contract, probably for the minimum, right? But you expect those two to be there. Your number 3 is going to be Eli Rogers in the slot. But then on the outside, outside of that 3, look at the rest. Sammy Coates, which shows potential, definitely does, but he has room to grow. You could categorize him in the same category as Hunter. Kobe Hamilton, same situation. You see what I'm saying? DeMarcus Ayers. We don't know. We don't know where's DeMarcus Ayers going to fall in this particular rotation. Ayers could be put back on the practice squad since it's year 2. You see what I'm saying? But if you look at Coates and Kobe Hamilton, you're telling me that Justin Hunter can't compete with those guys? How is he much worse than them? That's what I don't understand or agree with some Steelers fans saying, oh, that guy's a bust. And I'm like, okay, look at that depth chart. If you can get a guy like that for cheap, where's the risk? There's no risk. Okay, so let's move on. And then I'll get you guys questions here in a moment. Cody Sensabaugh. Name sounds familiar. You know why? Because he's the cousin of Gerald Sensabaugh, who used to play for Neff 1's Cowboys. So Neff is probably familiar with that name there. Now, I don't know much about him. I do remember him at Tennessee. Didn't get a good look at him. I hollered at my boy Azul Effect, and he gave me his rundown, gave me his positives, his negatives. But here's the thing, man. From what I've seen from him, I've actually, and listen, I'm telling you guys, I studied this Steelers football like I'm a coach. As soon as we sign players, I go and try to look at some film and look at things they did well, did bad. I don't just search for highlights. I search for lowlights. You know, I look for plays when bad play by so-and-so, great play by so-and-so. And I look at a good amount of film so I can say, oh, okay, I see what kind of player they are. Now, let me tell you something. From what I see and reading articles from other Steelers guys, you know, that do these type of things, again, Steelers Depot and others, from what I'm reading, this guy is probably going to be the next William Gay. You know, has upside with footwork and things like that, decent speed, you know, takes chances is what I'm hearing. So, you know, you're going to have to work on those type of things, discipline. But I don't see where this is a miss, people. The Steelers need help in the coverage. Now, again, you look at who was there at the list from A down to Z. You saw who was in free agency. We all know the money that big guys got. You know the Steelers won't going to do that. Did I not tell you guys, expect the Steelers to start being snipers, sitting in the back and getting dudes in the silent and getting little guys that might help. Is no denying that you can say that Niles Davis may very well help the Steelers. There's no doubt that you can say there's a place for Justin Hunter, possibly. There's no doubt that you can say this Sensabaugh kid will definitely be able to compete for the slot position and might be good at it. Because, again, I'm hearing from a lot of people, even NFL guys, are saying he's a decent corner. Not great, not terrible. But why is it important for the Steelers to do that? Because if they can get this guy in, number one, it's going to push competition. William Gay, which job might be in jeopardy, and Sinquez Golson. We don't know what's going to happen with Sinquez Golson. We haven't even seen Golson play in preseason, which I'm very upset to be saying that, but that's the truth. And I loved that draft pick when we got him. Hopefully, third time the charm. Hopefully he's healthy this year. Boom, everything works out, and we'll see. But I tell you what, if Golson is healthy and Sensabaugh shows promise, William Gay is probably going bye-bye. He's probably out of there. Same thing I feel about Haywood Bay. Again, Haywood Bay comes in and plays receiver, but he's really not that high on the depth chart. He's more of a special teams guy. Let the kid Justin Hunter come in here and show promise, man. Then it's going to be interesting because then you're looking at Hunter, Kobe Hamilton, Sammy Coates, Haywood Bay. You already got your other three. Eli Rogers, Antonio Brown, Martavis Bryant, we suspect. So then you got three other guys or four guys fighting for either 2 or 3 positions. We don't know if the Steelers are going to keep 5 or keep 6. It's going to be interesting, man. So that's how I feel. And again, this kid, Tyson, not going to say his last name. I'm going to just say Tyson A. This kid signs today, which a lot of people are expecting he will. There's more depth right there. You know, when we do the nickel package, because I know they're definitely looking for some more depth when they go into, 2 inside, 2 outside, or even when they show like a 4-4 look sometimes against the run. McCullers, we don't know what's going to happen with him. Supposedly he's losing weight. You already know Javon Hargrave was an excellent pick. He's going to be a good guy for us. Of course, you get to it and Hayward back on the outside. So having that depth, if Tyson decides to sign, that's going to be another opportunity. Go look at his stats, man. He's done some things since he's been with Jacksonville. Tackles, sacks. He showed some promise. Again, like I said, he hasn't been shipped around. He's been with the same organization, and now he's a free agent. So that's a good thing. But one other thing, guys. I almost forgot this. How could I forget this? And let me pull up some of you guys' comments here, and then we'll get into the last point. Let me just see what some of you guys have been saying. Funny title. Yeah, man. They've been acting like snipers, brother. Neff is asking me to put a helmet back there, a Cowboys helmet. We signed Cody Sensabaugh. Yeah, I mentioned that. We signed Davis. Definitely mentioned that. See if any of you guys have any questions here. Still D34KC. What have we done? What have we done? See, I got to pick with you for a moment, brother. I have a problem with that question. If you're still a fan and you're asking me what have we done, I have a problem with that question. The reason why, you guys should be watching your team. You got to watch your team. Don't let just me and Tony be the only guys out here in this community that know their team. You shouldn't be asking me what have we done. Besides, I just went over a list of what we've done. I know you may have come in late. So, you could definitely come back and, go back and watch the archive when it's up. But don't ask that question, buddy. I'm not going to answer it. Again, like I said earlier in the bit, y'all, you may have missed it. People who are asking me questions that are not relative to what's happening with the Steelers or free agency questions like why aren't we doing certain things, I'm not going to dive in them conversations no more because I feel like we already on the opposite end of the spectrum. But we have made some moves. I'm not going to pick on you. We have made some moves. You might want to check it out for yourself, read some articles. But we've signed Justin Hunter, wide receiver, formerly with the Titans, with the Bills. We've signed Niall Davis, who was formerly with the Chiefs. And I think he was traded midpoint last year to Green Bay and some craziness like that. We've signed Cody Sensabaugh. He was another Ravens. The Titans, former Titan. And then, he went to the Rams and was supposed to be a staple in their defense, and something crazy happened and he left and ended up going to the Giants for a year. And we're expected to sign this guy. I'm going to attempt his name one more time. Tyson Alaula. I think that's how you say his name, out of Jacksonville. First-round pick. He's a defensive lineman. He's visiting with the Steelers today. But yeah, just picking with you, but being serious at the same time. You guys gotta know what's going on with your team, man. That's rule number one. All right, and let me address this last point, guys, and we'll be out of here. Darrelle Revis, what y'all think? What you think, guys? I'm gonna tell you what I think about it. I'm gonna tell you what I think. Darrelle Revis, I'll take it under these circumstances. Let me lay it out real quick. Supposedly the way the Revis situation works, right? The Jets owe him $6 million or some odd dollars, something like that. I think they owe him $6 million, whether he plays or not. Now, if I'm not mistaken, what I've been hearing is the way the language is written is if he plays with another team, they offset the salary. So, for example, very simple math here. He signs with a team for $3 million. That team pays him $3 million. The Jets pay him $3 million. Understanding that, I think there's a situation where he could play with the Steelers if the Steelers want to do it. We have to keep in mind that. We don't know if the Steelers want to take the chance. But here's how I think it could happen. Darrelle Revis said he wants to play for Pittsburgh. He's from the area. He's from Aliquippa, if I'm not mistaken. He says he wants to play for the Steelers. It's a dream for him to do that. He knows he's on the latter part of his career. Let's suppose he does this. He signs with the Steelers for, hey, give him a little more than a minimum. Say he signs for $1 million. Say he signs for $1 million. That's $1 million that he'll get from the Steelers, $5 million from the Jets. So you're still playing, basically, you're getting $6 million. Let's just consider if Revis is not greedy and he really wants to play for the Steelers and that's what they position to him or proposition. They say, listen, this is what we can do. We know you're getting that from there. We'll give you this. How about it? We'll take a chance and see what you got. I think you do it for that. Now, not nothing much more than that, but I think anything $1 million or less from the Steelers' pocket, why not? Why not? Because at the end of the day, think about this, guys. William Gay played in our defense last year. No knock on William Gay. Tony knows how we both feel about William Gay. But it may have just become that time where it's just time for him to, might just be that time for him, man. Let's just be honest. So what's the problem in having a guy roughly the same age that's been a better player in the league? What's the problem with taking a chance with him? So imagine having all of these guys in camp and letting the best man win. Because who knows? My thought would be maybe you put Revis on the inside. Maybe not an outside corner anymore. Maybe special situations. Sub package. But I didn't talk about him starting on the outside. Because even though Ross Cockrell hasn't been the best corner, I might put him out there before Revis now because of speed and size. Revis doesn't have that speed he once had. So maybe you slide him inside. I know some people say try him at safety. I don't think the Steelers do that. I really think the Steelers, like Mike Mitchell, I think if they go safety, they're going to draft one, just like they did Sean Davis. They're going to draft a free safety. We got the strong safety and Sean Davis, but I think they draft a free safety, if they want to look to replace that position potentially or give a guy some room, to alternate with Mike Mitchell. I don't think it would be a move like putting Revis at safety. I just don't feel that would happen because I think if they were going to do that, you do that with William Gay. Because William Gay has ball hawk skills. So maybe safety would better suit him at this point instead of corner. But we'll see. Who knows? But that's the scenario where I say you take a chance with Revis. It ain't going to cost you nothing. He wants to play. That's your trump card right there. That's your bargaining chip. You want to play for us. You getting paid regardless. This is what we can do. We're going because y'all, you hear from players, then everybody says Mike Tomlin is straight up. Even though, let me say this. It's not up to Tomlin in terms of who gets money, guys. You got to remember that. It goes through Kevin Colbert first, and then above him, the Rooneys. Tomlin can give a suggestion. But the Steelers organization are going to spend their money the way they see fit. So y'all kill that noise about Tomlin not going to get what he wants. I'm tired of hearing that. It's not up to Tomlin all the time. Kevin Colbert is the main guy along with the Rooneys. Just like we heard the story where Keith Butler was talking about Hightower, how much he wanted him in the draft. Basically, the term was he pounded the table. But Rooney stepped in and was like, nah, we need an offensive lineman to protect Ben. And they went with the Castro. So y'all stop criticizing Coach Tomlin for free agency moves. He has input, but he doesn't have the final say. He doesn't cut the check. Okay? Kevin Colbert is the guy who's designed to do that with the assistance of the Rooneys. So there you have it, guys. That's all I got for you this week. Excuse me, guys. Got a little tickle in my throat there. That's it, man. It was a lot to talk about, man. For you guys who came in late, definitely once it's saved and archived up on YouTube, go back and listen to it all, man. Basically recap the free agency moves that we have so far, a guy that we have at the facility today. Hopefully we sign him, and explain it to you guys, man. This is what the Steelers do. The Steelers are going to go find bargain guys that may or may not work in their scheme for their scenario, and then they rely on the draft. Let's not forget the draft hasn't happened yet. I keep hearing guys, and he knows who he is. People close to me keep saying, we can't go back in with the same defense this year. The draft hasn't happened yet. The Steelers had started 3 rookies last year. That should let you know right there that the mindset is starting to change in terms of coaching staff, what they want to approach. So don't count out the draft. It has not happened yet. So you can't say it's going to be the same team. And they are making little plug-in pieces here and there. We don't know what's going to happen. Again, it's almost certain that William Gay not going to be the slot corner next year if you really think about it. Seems like to me it's going to be SimFBall or Golson. Probably Golson if he's healthy. We'll see. But there you have it, guys. The last thing I will say about the draft, I see more different guys' names are showing up now. I'm seeing Ted Williams show up as, you know, in some people's mark as the outside linebacker choice for the Steelers. Hey, I'm good with that. Any Alabama defender from front end to outside linebacker, hey, I'm cool with that. But we'll see, guys. We'll see who we're going to go with. I can't wait till we get closer and closer, and we'll have a better opinion of what's going on with the draft. But that's all I got for you guys, man. So again, if you're new to the channel, you like what you saw, if you want to see other stuff that I do, feel free to sub to the channel. Screaming Face will appear for you guys who will see this on the archive. And I promise you guys, it will never hurt you to hit that like button. So, all right, guys, before we go, we'll do one terrible towel. I probably should do this every week since that's the name of the show. Here we go. And I'll catch you guys next week. Maybe next week we'll talk about the signing of Tyson Alu today. All right, guys. Peace.